It was supposed to be a birthday celebration. 6 people who had everything to live for: doctors, athletes, scholars, athletes, future lawyers, future surgeons, packed their bags on a quiet Saturday morning in April and boarded a private aircraft for what should have been a simple 40-minute flight across New York State. The weather was manageable. The aircraft was certified. The pilot was experienced. The passengers trusted him completely. But less than 30 minutes after takeoff, air traffic controllers noticed something terrifying happening on their radar screens. The aircraft was descending too quickly. It was too low. Controllers issued warning after warning, 3 separate low-altitude alerts. But the cockpit remained silent. No mayday call, no panic, no explanation. 1 minute the aircraft was approaching the runway normally. The next it vanished from radar completely. Moments later, the Mitsubishi MU-2B slammed into a muddy field near Copake, New York, at catastrophic speed. The aircraft remained almost completely intact until impact. There were no survivors. 6 lives ended in seconds. And even now, investigators still cannot fully explain what happened during the final minute of the Groff family's last flight. To understand why this tragedy captured national attention across the United States, you first have to understand who was on board that airplane, because these were not ordinary passengers. This was a family filled with extraordinary achievement, intelligence, and promise. People who had spent their lives helping others. People with futures that seemed limitless. Dr. Michael Groff was one of the most respected neurosurgeons in New York. He served as the executive medical director of neuroscience at Rochester Regional Health and was also an associate professor at Harvard Medical School. For years, he operated on the human brain. Patients trusted him with their memories, their movement, their lives. Colleagues described him as calm under pressure, brilliant inside the operating room, and deeply committed to medicine. But medicine was not his only passion. Flying airplanes had been part of his life since he was 16 years old. His father had taught him how to fly as a teenager, and aviation became something deeply personal to him. Flying was freedom. Flying was peace. Flying became part of his identity. His wife, Dr. Joy Saini, was equally accomplished. She dedicated her life to women's health as a urogynecologist and surgeon. Friends described Michael and Joy as the definition of a successful American family. 2 highly respected physicians raising 2 remarkable children while balancing demanding medical careers. They built a life around education, discipline, compassion, and achievement. Their daughter, Corinna Groff, represented everything parents dreamed their children could become. She attended the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, one of the hardest universities in the world to enter. But Corinna did not simply attend MIT. She excelled there. She became one of the school's greatest soccer players, finishing second all-time in goals and points. She earned All-American honors. She completed both bachelor's and master's degrees in biological engineering. Then, in 2022, the NCAA named Corinna Groff Woman of the Year across all college sports in America. Think about that for a moment. Out of thousands of athletes nationwide, Corinna Groff stood above them all. At the time of her death, she was studying neurosurgery at NYU Langone Medical Center, preparing to follow her father's path into brain surgery. Her future looked almost unlimited. Corinna's brother Jared Groff had graduated from Swarthmore College and was beginning his legal career in Manhattan as a paralegal. His girlfriend Alexia Cuyutas Duarte had also graduated from Swarthmore and had recently been accepted into Harvard Law School. She was preparing to begin classes later that year. Their lives were only beginning. And then there was James Santoro, Corinna's longtime boyfriend, another MIT graduate, another brilliant young professional working in finance in New York City. James and Corinna met during their freshman year at MIT and remained inseparable ever since. According to James's father, he had already decided he wanted to marry Corinna. He planned to propose later that summer. He already imagined the ring, the moment, the future they would build together. None of it ever happened. 6 people boarded that airplane carrying dreams, careers, celebrations, and plans for the future. They were traveling to the Catskills for a birthday celebration and the Passover holiday. What should have become a weekend filled with family memories instead became one of the most heartbreaking aviation tragedies in recent American memory. The aircraft itself also tells an important part of this story. The Mitsubishi MU-2B is not a normal private airplane. It is a high-performance twin-engine turboprop aircraft built in Japan and widely used in the United States for business and personal aviation. The airplane is extremely fast for its size and capable of operating like a much larger aircraft. Pilots respect its performance, but many aviation experts also fear it. For decades, the MU-2B carried a troubling reputation inside aviation circles. The aircraft handles differently For most general aviation airplanes, its control systems are unique. Its performance is aggressive. Pilots transitioning into the MU-2B often require specialized training because mistakes inside this aircraft can become deadly very quickly. Before 2008, the aircraft experienced dozens of serious accidents across the United States. The accident history became so concerning that the FAA stepped in directly. In 2008, the Federal Aviation Administration introduced Special Federal Aviation Regulation number 108, specifically for MU-2B pilots. That regulation forced pilots to complete mandatory specialized training every year. Emergency procedures, instrument flying, icing conditions, aircraft-specific handling. The FAA believed the aircraft itself could be operated safely, but only if pilots continuously trained for its unique flight characteristics. Michael Groff completed that exact FAA required training only months before the crash. According to investigators, he finished recurrent MU-2B training in October 2024. He legally met every requirement. He purchased the aircraft in 2024 and frequently used it for travel between Boston and Rochester. This was not a pilot casually experimenting with a dangerous airplane. He understood the aircraft. He trained for it. He flew it regularly. On the morning of April 12th, 2025, the Groff family prepared for what should have been a routine trip. Spring had arrived across New York. The Catskill Mountains were beginning to turn green again after winter. The family planned to celebrate Corinna's 25th birthday together, while also observing Passover. Michael Groff departed from the Boston area early that morning and flew toward Westchester County Airport near New York City. There, he picked up Corinna and James Santoro before continuing north toward Columbia County Airport near Hudson, New York. At approximately 11:30 a.m., the Mitsubishi MU-2B departed Westchester County Airport. The route was short, less than 90 miles. Under normal conditions, the trip would take under 40 minutes. Michael Groff filed an instrument flight plan because cloud conditions required pilots to rely on cockpit instruments rather than outside visual references. Investigators later confirmed there were no major storms, no dangerous turbulence warnings, and no severe weather advisories across the route. Conditions were not perfect, but experienced instrument-rated pilots routinely fly in those conditions every day. For most of the flight, everything appeared completely normal. The aircraft climbed successfully and continued north toward the destination airport. Inside the cabin, the passengers were likely relaxed. Maybe they were discussing birthday plans. Maybe Corinna and James were talking quietly together. Maybe Michael Groff felt proud, seeing his family sitting behind him while he flew the airplane he loved so much through the spring skies of New York. Then, shortly before noon, something changed. At 11:57 a.m., Michael Groff contacted air traffic control near Columbia County Airport and reported a missed approach. In aviation, a missed approach is not automatically dangerous. Pilots perform missed approaches regularly whenever runway visibility or alignment becomes unstable. Air traffic controllers immediately provided updated instructions for another landing attempt. Michael Groff acknowledged those instructions normally. His voice reportedly sounded calm. Nothing seemed wrong. Then controllers noticed the altitude. The aircraft was descending too quickly. Radar data showed the plane lower than it should have been during approach. Air traffic control immediately issued a low-altitude alert warning the pilot that he was dangerously close to terrain. No response came back from the cockpit. Controllers repeated the warning. Still nothing. A third warning followed. Silence again. No mayday call, no distress transmission, no indication of panic. Just silence. Then the radar target disappeared completely. Emergency crews rushed toward the last known location near Copake, New York. What they discovered horrified even experienced investigators. The aircraft had slammed directly into a muddy agricultural field at catastrophic speed. According to investigators, the airplane remained largely intact before impact. It had not broken apart in the sky. It had not exploded midair. Later, video evidence reportedly showed the aircraft descending rapidly while still structurally whole moments before impact. The crash killed everyone instantly. Why possibilities? One theory focused on spatial disorientation, one of aviation's deadliest hidden dangers. When pilots fly through clouds using only cockpit instruments, the human body can become dangerously confused. A pilot may feel level while actually descending sharply toward the ground. Spatial disorientation has killed highly experienced aviators throughout history because human senses cannot always be trusted during instrument flight. Another possibility involved pilot incapacitation. Some experts questioned whether Michael Groff may have suffered a sudden medical emergency inside the cockpit. A heart attack, stroke, or sudden loss of consciousness could explain the complete radio silence and uncontrolled descent. Investigators also examined the aircraft's upgraded avionics systems, questioning whether faulty flight information or display problems could have contributed to the accident. As of now, the NTSB has not released its final probable cause report. The official explanation remains unknown, and that uncertainty is what makes this tragedy so haunting. An experienced pilot, specialized training, no major weather emergency. A functioning aircraft, calm communication moments before impact, then silence. For the families left behind, no investigation report will ever fully heal the loss. 6 lives disappeared in less than a minute. A celebrated neurosurgeon, a respected physician, a future brain surgeon, a future lawyer. 2 brilliant young professionals with their entire lives ahead of them. 1 short flight. 1 unexplained descent. 1 field in upstate New York. And somewhere inside those final 60 seconds, the answer still waits to be found. Within hours, the National Transportation Safety Board launched a major investigation. Investigators documented the wreckage with drones, photography, avionics analysis, radar data, and air traffic control recordings. The preliminary report released weeks later confirmed many of the known facts, but failed to provide one clear answer. Why did Michael Groff suddenly stop responding during the final moments of the flight? Investigators began examining multiple